Hey guys, what's up? It's Secret My House PD and welcome from a park bench just in middle of suburbia, middle of paradise a little bit. It's a nice area, lots of greenery, there's a magpie over there, bikers next to a road as well, so plenty of cars I guess. And I'm right directly behind the sun, so it's going to be a challenge getting like good lighting and stuff I guess, but that's okay. Check this out, this is really cool, my beard is long enough to do this. Ah! My beard! I'm stabbed through it. I was entertained by it. I think it's a neat party trick. Better with a like a fizzler or something. One of them. Sparkler, that's the one. I just thought I'd talk about a few games I've been playing recently. I've been really sore after work, which isn't super uncommon, but usually I just shake off the soreness and go out game hunting or something, but I haven't been getting a lot of game hunting time in lately, and that's okay because instead I've been getting in game playing time, which, I mean, depending on my mood, sometimes I'd rather go game hunting, sometimes I'd rather just sit and play a video game. And I have been playing a lot recently, which is nice, it's been nice. As you all know, I finished Prey and made a video about it, and I probably won't make a full-length video on that just because I talked about that for a decent amount of time. Basically, I enjoyed it, but it was very difficult. I'm constantly swapping hands. But I only have two fingers grabbing this thing, so this thing is clutching on for dear life. Alright, that's better. Now I've got like a claw on it. A bit more like a camera. Yeah, I played Prey on the PlayStation 4. Also on the PlayStation 4, I played and beat The Last Guardian, which, it was good. It's a 3D puzzle... Puzzle? What the fuck? What's a puzzle? A 3D puzzle platformer. It was fun. The gimmick of the game is you play as this little kid and this big giant dog creature thing. And the creature, you have to guide it around the world. Get off of me. Ants and stuff. Yeah, you have to guide it around the world and solve puzzles with it, and it was a pretty cool gimmick. Even if the dog didn't want to listen to me for the most part, and Kathy also has a copy, so it's like I was playing it and I'm helping guide her through the game a little bit now if she gets stuck or something, which is cool. This magpie is bleating at me. It's watching me intently. I hope it doesn't try and get me. But yeah, it was a fun game, pretty cool. If anyone's played or finished that one, definitely let me know. The first half of the game was a little bit of a slog just because you're learning all of the stuff to do with Trico, and it gets better at the halfway point. After you've learned all of the stuff that you can do, then you can actually start doing it and make Trico actually listen to you, and it's fun then. There are enemies in the game, you can kind of fight them. There are these like suits of armor that come to life when you come into view of them, and they will try and drag you into this door, and nowhere in the game was actually managed to let them take me through the door, but it looked pretty spooky back there, so I wasn't going to take my chances with it. Yeah, you press all the buttons and it wriggles out of their grasp after they grab you. It's pretty easy actually. And yeah, and the big dog will come and like swipe them away, which is useful. And then either it'll kill them or you can pull the heads off of them, which also kills them, which is interesting. It's a cool little gimmick. It's like the big dog Trico is doing most of the fighting, but you can help out a little bit by taking out a couple of enemies in like the swarm. And there are sections where like you can't do that, like Trico is like in another room or something, locked out, and you have to just avoid the enemies, which is a cool gimmick too. It's a lot of fun. It's very high tension. Yeah, I found it to be the puzzles very hard, the rest of the game very easy. I did have a little bit of trouble with the platforming. Sometimes I would make a jump that I think I could make, but it just wouldn't go, and like when I respawned, I would try to make that same jump again, and like I would get it, so I don't know what stopped me the first time. Yeah, I thought it was a good game. It was, yeah, it's a solid 7 out of 10, not perfect at all. It definitely looks like it should be on the PlayStation 3, not on the PlayStation 4, but it is a game that has been in development since 2007, so I guess you can't expect like current level graphics. Like if this game was released in 2007, people would be saying how amazing it looked. So yeah, I guess you have to look at it from that perspective. Also played was it? This was beforehand, like a couple of months beforehand. I'm just thinking about it now. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time for the first time. It was good. It was really good. I played it with a guide open, and with a guide open, it is pretty easy. Without the guide, just at first, I was getting really lost really quickly. Like, obviously, I don't have to explain Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time to everyone, but you start off in this area where it's Kakariko Village or something like that. You're among these elves, and you have to figure out how to get past this one guy who won't let you pass without a sword and shield and proving yourself or something. And it's just kind of annoying to try and do all of this stuff and not really knowing what to do. And you can go into like this forest area that you're not supposed to go in yet, and you can meet this masked character who doesn't do anything just yet. You know, stuff like that. I'm filming awkwardly to try and not capture someone who's walking. It's kind of annoying until you figure out what you're doing, and once you do figure out what you're doing, it is a lot of fun though. You know, I was playing with a guide after that opening area and after the first dungeon, and it was really good after that. I just breezed through the game after that point, and I'd just follow the guide. If I got lost, I'd look at the guide and it would keep me on the right track. So yeah, it was good. Very long game. This game took me, God, if it was 30 hours, man. Quite a bit. It took me like a week to get through, and that's not bad. It did provide a lot of content. Let me think. I feel like you could have taken out 4 of the dungeons and not have missed anything in the game, because at the midway point of the game, or technically the midway point, you've completed these 4 dungeons and their outlying area stories. Like, for example, on one, you've gone to the Zora's domain, who are a water-dwelling people, and when you go there, you have to figure out where the princess has gone. You find out the princess has been swallowed by a giant fish, so you have to go into the fish, and then the fish is the dungeon, and then you get her back and all of that. My beard looks really bad. It's the end of the day, my beard gets really frizzy. So over the course of the day, need to shave down the sides a little bit, I think. It's a bit better. Yeah, if I'm far back, you can't notice it at all and it looks nice, but if I'm not, it looks kind of bad. If you're up close, you can see imperfection. I guess that's the same way with anything. If you look at something too long, you're going to notice, like, faults with it. Yeah, I reckon after the midway point where Link becomes an adult, I'll try not to spoil a whole lot, you have to do 8 more dungeons, and I think if you had done 4, it would have been a sweet spot. You didn't really have to go and do 8 beyond the reasoning that the game said you have to go and do 8, and a lot of them are in the exact same areas, so it's like, it's not repeating dungeons, but it's definitely repeating areas, but that's okay, because at the halfway point, the entire landscape changes to like a post-apocalyptic setting, so it's okay, because they've changed the area up a little bit, and there are new things to do, and you get new abilities. It always tries to keep the game fresh, which is nice. I definitely see why people love this game so much. I did not enjoy it as much as I enjoyed something like Majora's Mask, which I thought was just, just did a little bit more interesting things. But I can understand, because it's the first 3D Zelda game, you want to try and play it safe a little bit and give your audience what they want, and with Ocarina of Time, they definitely did that. It was a Zelda game, whereas Majora's Mask was, you know, trying to be something a little bit different. I'm sorry if you could hear the wind resistance, that kind of sucks, but nothing I can do about it. I'm not God, I can't control the wind, unfortunately. It would be cool if I could. A lot of ums in this video, I shouldn't do that. What else have I played? Oh yeah, I also played Undertale, which was a fun game. Fun game, pretty interesting. It was an RPG where... It's an RPG where you play as this human who falls down a hole and gets trapped in this world of monsters, and like every monster in the world really hates humans because beforehand a human fell down and killed the prince to the throne, which is an interesting little story. It's got a lot of weird characters, and you can play the game one of 2 ways. You can go through the game just as a normal RPG, killing enemies as you find them, or you can do what is called a pacifist run, where you don't kill anyone, and you can like either avoid combat or do something where combat just ends. Like, depending on the enemy you're facing, you can choose to spare them. instead of fight them, which is interesting. I like that idea. I do wish more games did something like that. The kind of it's a little bit like Shin Megami Tensei in that way, where you don't have to fight a whole lot of enemies. You can talk to them and kind of and work out your differences that way. You don't have to kill them. And I did like a mixed run, I guess. I killed some enemies and didn't kill others. Like, if it was a boss fight, I tried to find a way to spare them. If it was a normal enemy, unless I had some kind of character, I did not spare them. Like, if it was a giant... That was a really cute character. It was a giant dog in a suit of armor, and I wanted to spare that character, so I did, because I thought he was cute. And it was awesome. You press act instead of fight, and you choose pet, and every time you choose pet, its neck gets bigger and bigger as it gets happier and happier, and eventually its head goes off screen, and then you can choose spare creature, and the fight will end. It's just funny. It is a very quirky game, very funny. I played the PlayStation Vita version, which I got from fangamer.com. They've released 2 games so far. They've released Shovel Knight and Undertale, which are 2 really fun retro games, like retro-inspired modern games, which are really good. You know, they both have retro graphics. This Undertale game has graphics similar to something like Final Fantasy, the first one, where it's all 8-bit, but it looks really good. Like, it does look good in places. You know, a lot of people say, like, 8-bit, because it's old, doesn't look good. I think 8-bit can look really, really nice, and this game does in areas. So yeah, I'll try not to spoil too much about it. Yeah, I basically gave the gimmick of the game. You don't have to kill enemies. You can go through the boss battles and not kill them. All of the characters are really, really funny. Some of them unintentionally so. Some of them really try to be funny. And because they're trying so hard, they're unfunny, but that kind of makes them a little bit funny. Like, there's this one character who's just like this fat bone character. Like, he's this fat guy, but he's all bones. He's a skeleton, but he's fat. It's big bones, see? And throughout the game, he keeps making bone puns, which every time he makes one, he'll look to the camera and go... You know, like, he'll do the shifty eyebrows thing that Milhouse does. Like, hey, I just said a joke, laugh. And at first I was like, that's really bad. But then as the game went on, I was like, yeah, it's getting funnier. And by the end, it was really, really funny, so it was interesting. A lot of the characters are... There's a lot of puzzles as well, but they're set up in a way that they're not super difficult. I breezed through the game in about 5 hours, so don't pay too much for it. I think you can get it for under $20. Like, I think you can get a physical copy for under $20, which is pretty good. You know, because it comes with like a nice little art book and stuff, and a physical version and a cartridge, so if someone like Bad Company Gaming wants to get a copy of this, definitely go for it. I don't know if there's any left, but it's definitely worth looking into. It was a fun game. I did some research on the game. Apparently it was a Kickstarter game, and apparently the people who like the game really, really like the game. Like, a lot more than I did. I thought it was a lot of fun. I did not think I should pace my life around it like some fans of the game do, but it's their prerogative to each their own. So, 1, 2, 3. Right now I'm playing another PlayStation Vita game called Corpse Party Blood Drive, and it's okay so far. It's like a visual novel game, and every now and again you get sections where you like explore a area and look for clues and stuff. It's a horror game. It's okay so far. The writing is really bad. You get that a lot with visual novel style games, because like, especially if they're released on the cheap, like they don't get a great translator in to release these things, but it has some interesting ideas. One thing I do have to fault Corpse Party on, it started off really badly because this is the third game in a series of games. It's the first Corpse Party, the second one Book of Shadows, and the third one Blood Drive. It expected you to have played the first 2 games and have really good knowledge of them in order to play the third one, because it did not introduce characters at all. Characters were just already there. They were talking about some great tragedy that happened at an elementary school, and what is in my beard? What happens when you get a beard? Stuff just falls into it. I don't know what. Everything gets stuck. I don't recommend growing one. Unless you want to be like Santa Claus or something. Yeah, it just expected me to know all of these characters, and to be fair to it, at the end of the first chapter, which was like an hour long, It gave me all of these text logs introducing the characters, but that's something it really should have done at the beginning, you know? It's like, too little too late if you've already introduced all of these characters and gone through like a horror sequence in order to try and like grip the player to continue playing, but you haven't really introduced anything. Or you haven't made it apparent what's going on. But yeah, it's okay so far. I'm kind of getting it now that I'm in the second chapter, but for the first chapter, which was called Chapter 0, it was kind of a slog trying to figure out what was going on. I had to stop playing at some point and just look up what was going on. I looked up the other two games. I was like, oh, okay. These kids did some kind of Bloody Mary type ritual. They got teleported to this other world and people died and they are in shock about it. Okay, now we're in this story and they're continuing on from that story. It would have taken 5 minutes to explain all that and the game didn't, so it was kind of weird. That's all I'm going to say about that. Haven't played too much of it, so I can't really spoil the rest of it yet. Yeah, it's dusk right now. Sucks being sore after work, man. I want to go out and do stuff, but I don't know, man. When you're sore, you don't really want to. It's not like a soreness that I can pinpoint. Like, I can't go to a physio and get this fixed because it's just a general feeling of being sore. Like, my legs feel a bit sore, my back feels a bit crook, all of that kind of stuff. And it's not something that's ever going to lead to injury because even though I do 35 to 40 hour weeks usually, plus whatever extra I can get, it's not something that it's ever going to build to the point just because of the work I do. But that's not your problem, that's my problem. In the past, I've just toughened up and gone out game hunting. I should try doing that instead of complaining about it. But yeah, that will be all for now. I will leave you with this beautiful scenery. See with my house bidding you farewell. That is a river I kayak on. I'd like to go out and do another kayaking vlog, but I just got to get the energy to do it. Maybe next week, maybe next month, I don't know. And I do have another pickups video coming. It is coming. I just need to film the bloody thing because like, over the last 2 weeks I've gone out game hunting and I have found stuff, not a massive amount of stuff, mostly like PlayStation 3 stuff, but it is stuff that I would like to show just for the sake of showing it. I don't like to put something on a shelf until I've shown it on video, so yeah, I will make a pickups video at some point, maybe on Sunday or something. I might go to a park and do it. I like the idea of doing stuff in the outdoors because I like being outdoors just as much as I like being indoors. So that's gonna be it. Sigma my house bidding you farewell. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you've been playing in the comments. Absolutely. Yeah, have a good one. See yous. Earlier, this was the magpie that was watching me. It roosts nearby, so it's just chilling, walking around, doing magpie stuff. I think magpies look really cute when they walk. Like if you put little arms on them, it would look really funny.
And that's all, folks.